Hey guys, I want to show you a quick demo of OPA using services within OCI. And I will reuse the existing IDP expense report use case as a vehicle to show you this. So once again, we have an expense report form where we're expected to attach a receipt. So in here, I'm going to attach a receipt again for a restaurant with a bunch of line items. So once this receipt is attached, it's going to get scanned by a service within OCI. The data out of this document will be extracted, and we will use that data in our process flow to drive not only the orchestration path, but also subsequent actions. In this particular case, we're going to route this form to my manager. And my manager here will have a task to actually review the expense report that I've submitted, and then approve. So you can see all of the data from that receipt that we attached is once again extracted, and the manager can also see the file that we uploaded. And they can take appropriate action. So now let me show you the design time. So this is the process that fuels that little demo. So it starts with form start, and in the form start, we have, as you saw, the file upload component. So the file upload component here actually leverages the OCI document understanding service. So OCI document understanding service is a service that is used to scan documents, identify their type. So in our case, we'll identify that the attached file is a receipt, and then use a pre-built algorithm to actually extract all of the relevant data so that we can work with it. And so here we're triggering this service. You can see that we are triggering it with all of the OCI parameters that we need to. So we're specifying a whole bunch of information about the job name, the job type that we're triggering. We're passing the data as an inline document. So this will be the base64 encoded string is passed to OCI document understanding as an inline document. We have a bunch of config features for this. So when we trigger the service, this is the type of extraction that we're triggering. Now, one of the key things here just to keep an eye on is that we're asking the service to generate a PDF for us as part of this extraction. And then we're also very interested in the key value extraction, right? So that's what's going to give us all of the key values for the receipt. We're telling the service to produce an output to object storage, and we're giving the details of the target object storage bucket where the output should go. So once this is done, OCI Vision will produce a JSON file on object storage. And because we also asked it to generate a PDF of the source file, it will do that too. So after this step is completed, we're going to have two files on object storage, the extracted data JSON plus a PDF of the uploaded document. The next thing that we do here is we actually call an OCI function. And this function is actually used to convert the PDF that's produced by the document understanding service into a JPEG. Then OCI functions, I've created a function here, which does as the name suggests, it just converts a PDF to a JPEG. And it basically, once it converts it, it writes it back out to that object directory, this time in a JPEG format. So there's just a simple function here to do that. Once this is done, and we go back to our process designer, we're going to end up with a JPEG image of the original document that was uploaded. The next thing that we do is we call the object storage service, OCI object storage, and this time we generate a par of the JSON image, of the JPEG image. We do this of the JPEG image because if we generate a par directly from the PDF, the form won't be able to display it. So that's why we have a two-step approach here. First, we need to convert it to a JPEG, then we create a par. A par creates an accessible URL endpoint, which we can then use in our form to display the original uploaded document. The third step in this process flow is an interaction with the OCI function service one more time. This time we have another OCI function. This one actually goes and retrieves the extracted output from OCI document understanding which is a large JSON, complex JSON structure. It retrieves it from object storage, and it then passes it to extract only the pertinent data that we're interested in, and it returns it back to OPA. So if I go back here, basically what you'll see if I open this is that we're invoking the function. So in here, I'm passing the function ID that I'm triggering plus the input parameters of the function, which is an OCI bucket and a file on that bucket. And as an output from this, I'm actually getting, all of the data that I need for a receipt. So it's actually pulling all of that data out of that JSON for me and just giving it back to me in a nice format within OPA. So once this is done, we actually pass, the par and the data to the human task that we saw. And as a last and final activity, we actually write the now approved transaction onto the OCI queue service. So OCI queue service is a message broker that we can use within OPA. And here, as you can see, I'm actually writing the whole payload of this transaction onto the OCI queue service, effectively giving me a loosely coupled persistence layer. And this is a very powerful approach in which we can interact with a lot of other services, right? And use OCI queue as a bridging point. And just to kind of round that out, if I go to queue here, we should be able to see the transaction that we just triggered a minute ago. So here's my queue. And if I go poll for messages, there's the transaction that we triggered just a moment ago. That's a pretty cool way for us to interact with a lot of different OCI services. If we go to our connections, we have connections defined to these 4 OCI services. And let's just go and have a look at some of these quickly. So you can see that all of these, they'd be using the OCI security policy, OCI signature policy, excuse me. And that all of these interactions are actually pointed to the OCI services directly, right? So we've defined all of the jobs that we need, whether it's for functions, or whether it's for object storage. All of these interaction points are direct against the OCI service. Cool. Well, I hope you enjoyed this demo, and thank you for watching.